why we got Angie, the pie lady, but today she's the brownie lady. She's joining us in the kitchen. We're making a lucky sweet treat for this.
I am making, well,
what are you making?
Creme de menthe brownies.
And I thought you just brought me a treat.
Yeah, well, you could have some later. I'm not sure really that it's Irish at all, but it's green, so
we're making it Irish.
Pretend. Yeah.
Yes, no, I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So
how do we do this, Ange?
Well, it's kind of a multi-step process, but it's easy. You just have to give yourself some time.
Okay.
First thing, butter and flour your pan.
Oh.
And the one thing I found interesting yesterday, this recipe takes quite a bit of butter.
Yeah.
If you just take a couple of your butter wrappers, it greases it perfectly.
Heck yes.
So you don't have too much or too little.
I love that. So do you want to soften your butter in advance?
Yes, it should be very soft.
All right, so leave your butter out, room temperature, let it soften, and then just smear your pan.
Yeah.
Why is it important that we butter and flour a pan? Can I admit, I've never done that.
Well, at the very end, as you'll see, we're going to pop the whole thing out to cut it. So if you don't do that, you're not going to pop.
And that's why my brownies stick to the pan.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, Angie, you just
Yeah.
gave me a beautiful solution.
So over here, I've already done it because for sake of time.
Yes.
There are 2 sticks of butter in here.
Okay.
A little splash of espresso powder. I just sprinkled it in, but I'll give measurements on the recipe.
Okay.
And then a 4-ounce box of unsweetened chocolate.
Unsweetened chocolate. So like Baker's chocolate.
Baker's chocolate.
Okay,
You could use sweetened chocolate, but you definitely want to cut the sugar down in the recipe.
Got it. Okay.
So.
All right.
Yep.
Because otherwise it'll be too sweet when you add the mint. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So you got this all melted. It's whipped up here beautifully.
Yep.
Okay.
And
so
then
like almost
you have
like a
to
ganache.
let it cool.
Okay.
So, because you don't want to add it to the cold eggs. It'll curdle everything.
All right. So you got to give your time to melt that. Set it aside, let it cool.
In fact, I'd do that first. And then this is actually, you could have it a little bit runnier, but yeah. Do that first. We've got 4 eggs.
4 eggs.
And a bunch of sugar.
Bunch of sugar.
We're not even going to talk about that part.
Okay. You just turn that on and you're going to whip it.
It's already, You're going to whip it real good.
That's right. I was waiting for that. Yay.
Eggs and sugar. I'm going to throw in my vanilla.
Okay.
And then the easiest way to do this is to do, I'm going to turn this the wrong way. You're going to do half of your flour and half of the chocolate, mix it, and then do a little bit more.
Okay, so you're just going to kind of feed it in there.
Yeah.
Why is it important that we layer like
it
that,
just
Angie?
makes a smoother consistency, and your ingredients don't have to work so hard to cohese.
Okay, got it. So then you avoid kind of the dry, lumpy
You won't get
batter.
any lumps this way.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice. All right.
Do that.
Pop that in there, mix it back up.
That one goes really fast.
Yeah,
if you
it does.
Do that.
This is the studio mixer, FYI.
Yeah.
Hence,
Not completely used to it.
not super familiar. And so Angie shared with us the importance of making sure that you butter and flour your pan, and the importance also of doing half mixing along the way to make sure everything kind of integrates more smoothly, so you avoid those dry lumps. Angie's an expert baker. We call her the pie lady for a reason. While we're making brownies today, you come on with the most impeccable, incredible pie recipes, the best recipes I've ever had.
And now brownies too.
And now brownies. She makes cookies that my kids fight over all the time. But your recipes live at the idaho-today landing page as well.
They do. Mm-hmm.
Yep, on KTVB.com. So if you're looking for some incredible baking tips and recipes, this is where you want to go from Angie. All right, so now what are you doing? You're scraping the pan here.
I'm just getting as much as I can out. You give this a little scrape. Maybe not while it's mixing, but I know these little skinny spatulas work pretty good for that.
Okay.
And then once you feel like it's all mixed together.
Lovely.
We're just gonna put it in your pan.
It smells so good. If you're a chocolate lover, you would love the smell of the kitchen.
I tried to, and see, I would prefer like lemon.
Oh, would
something,
you? Like, I like
but
citrus.
My family is all about the chocolate, so
this smells so
more
good
for them.
Yes, this is. I imagine when you make this at home, then the kids and the hubby are pretty happy to smell.
They're pretty happy, yes.
Yeah, to smell the chocolate.
And I do try to give that a good mix with your spatula too before you dump it.
Got it. All right.
It's a pretty thick batter.
Yeah, it is.
There's a little bit of baking powder and salt in the flour too. Some people don't use any baking powder in brownies. I like just the little bit of a lift that it gives it.
Okay, so that's how you get the fluffy fudgy brownie.
I mean, the eggs do that too, but I don't know. I don't trust the eggs all on their own.
Okay, so opposed to having a thin, which always happens to me, a thin fudgy brownie, these are going to be a little fluffier.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, good. See, again, another tip. It's the baking powder. Love this. Okay, so you smear it around your pre-buttered and floured pan.
Yep.
Lovely. And we're going to get going into break. Angie's going to toss this in the oven, and then we're going to wrap this up.
That's right.
Just right after commercial break.
That's right.
And the studio is going to smell so incredibly amazing. Everyone here is going to be so hungry. I'm already getting a growly tummy. All right, we'll be right back with the finished St. Patty's Day Creme de Menthe brownies right after the break.